Live.
जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन कालिंदी जमुना जय जय महाबल केशी घात वंशीवत द्वादश कानन जहाँ सब लीला कैलो श्री नंद नंदन श्री नंद यशोदा जय जय गोपगण श्री दामादि जय जय धेनु वत्सगण जय वृषभानु जय कीर्तिदा सुंदरी जय जय पूर्णामाशी अभीर नागरी जय जय गोपीश्वर वृंदावन माझ जय जय कृष्ण सखा बतु द्विजराज जय राम घात जय रोहिणी नंदन जय राम घात जय रोहिणी नंदन जय जय वृंदावन वासी जत जन जय द्विज पत्नी जय नाग कन्यागण भक्ति ते जहार पाइलो गोविंद चरण श्रीरास मंदल जय जय राधा श्याम जय जय रास लीला सर्व मनोरम जय जय ज्वल रस सर्वरस सार पर किया भावे जहाँ ब्रजेते प्रचार श्री जानवा पाद पद्म कोरिया स्मरण दीन कृष्ण दास कहे नाम संकीर्तन दीन कृष्ण दास कहे नाम संकीर्तन हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय वृंदावन धाम वृंदावन धाम वृंदावन धाम जय वृंदावन धाम जय वृंदावन वृंदावन जय वृंदावन हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौ
Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Ganhavika Giridhari Radha Vinod Vihari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parirajakachaja Asto Tadasara Shishi Mat Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishi Mat Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishi Mat Param Gurudev Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishi Mat Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimat Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Shila Gaurkishoda Prabhuji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Ki Jai. Jai Rasik Siramani Shila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamalanda Prabhu Tre Ki Jai. Jai Shila Krishnas Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsadi Ki Jai. Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sigahol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Antadvip, Mayapur, Simantadvip, Gaudardvip, Madhyadvip, Koladvip, Ritudvip, Janadvip, Modamdvip, Rudadvip, Apanakanavadvip, Dham Ki Jai. Badravan, Bandiravan, Belvan, Lohavan, Mahavan, Madhuvan, Talvan, Kamudvan, Bahulavan, Vrindavan, Kadiavan, Kamyavan, Brajamandal Ki Jai. Jai Shri Radha Kund, Shama Kund, Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Purnamasti Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Ganga Jamuna Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Gopishwan Mahadev Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudashan Chakra Ki Jai, Ketra Mandal Ki Jai, Sarva Vignavanasa Karishi Nrsingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai, Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Charidam Ki Jai, Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai, Charya Ki Jai, Akara Mat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai, Shri Keshav Ji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Vansha Kalpatokascha, Kripa Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavanibhyo, Vaishnavibhyo, Namo Namaha.
Om Jnanatimurandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmae Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Gora Presta Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Vane Tinamine Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaye Priyamane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narani Tinamine Namo Vishnu Padaya Shri Keshava Priyamane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Vamane Tinamine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Vanchakalpa Truyascha Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so welcome back everyone to another beautiful day of virtual parikram. Today we are fortunate to have three speakers, starting with Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj, then Sripad Bhaktivedanta Vaikhanas Maharaj, and then Sriman Sachin Prabhu lastly. And I'm going to hand over to Tridandi Maharaj now to also introduce the places we're going to and speak.
And speak.
both at once.
Let me just offer some more pranams and then I'll start speaking. So Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Pritatmane Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Idam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Parishtai Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I'm offering Dandavat Pranams to all our divine Rupanuga Guru Varg and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat Pranams to all of you. Vancha Kalpa Durvyascha Kripa Sindhavevacha Patitanam Pavanivyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. So yesterday was a massive day here in Govardhan, and we had beautiful description by Sripad Bhaktivedanta Vaikhanas Maharaj, taking us right in depth below Giriraj in that village where they all took shelter. Very beautiful description yesterday. So now today we've left our shelter of Giriraj and we're satelliting out to the north. So I'm going to do a little bit of geography for a couple of minutes only, just to reorient those people who are not so familiar. So if we can have a map, you'll see here. So today, yes, this is a very simple map for simple devotees. We should appreciate on the eastern side. That's when you look at the screen on the right-hand side. That's the east. You see the little compass at the top. So on the eastern side of Jamuna Devi, the first forest is Bandravan, Badravan, then Bandiravan, Bailvan, 3 beginning with B's. Then Lohavan, what's that? Bandivan, there's a mistake there. There, I didn't check it. Cross it out quickly. It'll be indelibly etched in people's minds. Put the original one back on again. Anyway, so there's 5 forests on one side, on the eastern side, and then when it comes up, we'll see. And then there's 7 forests on the western side. So let's have it. Just coming. And we start at the top of Kamyavan. And then we come down to Kadirvan. And then we come down to Vrindavan. And then we come down to Bahulavan. And then below Bahulavan is Talvan, Kamudvan, and Mahavan. So this makes 7 on the western side. So this is correct, okay. So Kamyavan, Kadirvan, and there's Govardhan in between, which is Vrindavan. Then we have Bahulavan, Kamudvan, where we don't actually go to because it's always flooded, and Talvan and Madhuvan. So we've already been to Madhuvan, we've been to Talvan, we've been to Kamudvan, we've been to Bahulavan, we've been in Vrindavan for quite some time. We were in Govardhan yesterday, more or less. Now we're coming into the forest of Kadirvan and Kamyavan. These forests on the eastern side should be up near the compass. This is what we tried to do, but we made a little mistake there. So try to orientate. This is actually where the forests are. Rajasthan is across to the far left, you can see. So it's helpful. This is our eternal home. It's helpful to know if all of a sudden you have to run an errand for Sri Radha in the future to Madhuvan or Talvan, you know where it is. You're not going to get lost in the forest, in the jungle. So it's really makes the mind very peaceful when we know where we're going. So now let's see the other map, the big map. Okay, so now you can expand that big map a little bit and we can see we've gone north today from Govardhan and we've come to the very northern boundary up near Kamyavan. And this is where Kailanvan, on the other side of the Jamuna, we actually above Badravan, on the other side of the Jamuna. And then we're going to go to Kailanvan, then we're going to go to Ramgat, which is also on the banks of the Jamuna. Actually, Ramgat is on this side, I'm sorry. Yes, Kailanvan is on this side, on the western side. We don't cross the Jamuna right now. Take that back. Well, on the western side of the Jamuna. And we're at the very top. If you put your cursor on Shirgat, you can see right at the very top. I can't see the screen here, but I hope you're all familiar with this map. Okay, that's better. So we see Shirgat is at the top. So Kelanban is right beside that, just behind it, actually. Oh, there's Kamyavan, and then Shirgat, yes. So this is where we are, the northern extremity of the Brajmandal Prikrama. And then we're going to go to Ramgat, which is on the bank of the Jamuna. Then we're going to come to Chirgat, and Vihravan is also there, close by. And just behind is Vatsavan. So this is the circle. This is where we are. If you circle it with your cursor around this area, you can just put your cursor, make it a circle, just spin it around. Spin your circle, your cursor around. Like that, like a circle. Encompass, yeah. Okay. Can you see that? So this is where we are today. So we're going to start first in Kelanban. So try to appreciate these 5 forests on the eastern side and 7 forests on the western side. And there are many upavans, smaller forests. So Kelanban and Virhavan, they are smaller forests where we're going today within the big forests. So it's very beautiful arrangement that Krishna has designed for his eternal pastimes here, which actually ultimately fit in the form of a lotus with the Jamuna running through, and Giriraj, as we spoke yesterday, as the effulgent tilak on the whole of the Brajmandal, shining through with all victory and auspiciousness and grace on the whole of Brajmandal. So now we've come to Kelanban, and Kela means playful. So it's that place of playful pastimes. Krishna and his Sakhas, Baladev, they would come here in their cow grazing pastimes and perform so many games. We've said a few times how Krishna is the most innovative in arranging different exciting games every single day. Krishna would arrange incredible games for the boys. They would be totally into it. I can remember personally watching where's that? Kelanban, okay. But just the idea of enthusiasm in children, we don't see it so much in the Western world. I don't remember it anyway, but in here in Bharatvarsh, when you'd see the young kids playing cricket or something like that, they are just so much into it. They put their life and soul into their sport, and they're playing completely immersed in their games. So Krishna and Balaram would be totally, utterly immersed in their games. They wouldn't see anything else except the movements of the game. And sometimes the boys, they would chase the shadows of the birds. They would have competitions to see who could keep up with the birds. These boys are very expert, these suckers, and they would pull the tails of monkeys, fearless. They wouldn't be afraid of the monkeys at all. We've seen sometimes the Brijbasi boys, they slap the faces of the monkeys. Once the monkey knows you're not afraid of him, then they'll run away. So these boys, they had that relationship with the monkeys, and they would chase the monkeys, grab their tails, and of course they would run very fast. Then they would imitate different animals. Sometimes Krishna would hide behind a rock and imitate a lion or a tiger and frighten all the boys, frighten all the small creatures of the forest also. So they would play these endless games in this place, Kelanban. And then one day, at this very place, Kelanban, Krishna performed the pastime of becoming sick. He actually fainted. And Krishna manifested himself as a physician and went to Mother Yashoda before Mother Yashoda had even realized Krishna's condition, and said to him, I am a mystic physician, and I think your son is suffering from something, some disease. And then Krishna is fainting in his room in Nandagaon. Mother Yashoda is so concerned. She's imploring this physician to quickly remedy him. So the physician takes Krishna's pulse when he's lying on the ground, and determines that, yes, I can actually cure this disease. But the background to this pastime is very, very important. Radharani, the wife of Abhimanyu, living in Javat with Jotila and her sister, his sister-in-law, Kotila, daughter of Jotila, are always criticizing Radharani. Jotila is always suspecting that Radharani is consorting with Krishna. She's always thinking that in her mind because it's the truth that's happening. So she's always fearful of that. And she's always abusing Radharani and calling her unchaste. And this has come to a pitch, and this has become very uncomfortable for Sri Radhika sometimes, that Jotila should be so harshly scolding her. And Kotila, my Gurudev describes, is like an ant, always looking for a hole to climb in and criticize. So she's always looking for some way that she can criticize Radhika. So Radhika has to tolerate so much abuse by her in-laws. And one day Krishna decides to perform this pastime to prove the absolute chastity of Sri Radhika. So this physician, who's also Krishna disguised as a physician, tells Mother Yashoda that the only cure is to bring a pot that is full of holes, full of Jamuna water back and sprinkle the water on Krishna's head. Then he will be cured. And this water will be easily carried by the most chaste lady. The chastity will seal the holes. That lady's chastity will seal all these holes. This is my proclamation. So Mother Yashoda, she's frantic. She's looking for who is that chaste lady. And because Jotila and Kotila are always criticizing Sri Radhika, then everyone assumes that, oh, Jotila must be that most chaste lady, that she has the audacity to keep criticizing Radha. So she goes to Jotila and begs her to please go to the Jamuna and fill this pot full of holes. Because of your chastity, no water will come out. Jotila, she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to be tested in this way at all. She's very hesitant. But Mother Yashoda is absolutely determined. Halala is lying on the ground in a diseased condition. Mother Yashoda is the most concerned mother in the universe. And she's thinking that her son has some disease that can only be cured in this way. So she's frantic. So she forces Jotila to go to the Jamuna. And she goes, of course, fills up the pot, and all the water pours out. And everyone realizes, oh, Jotila is not the most chaste person. And then they say, well, perhaps Kotila, because she's always criticizing also, she must be the most chaste. So Kotila has just seen her mother, Jotila, fail. So Kotila is very, very shy and tries to run away, but they grab her. And they insist. So eventually she has to go to the Jamuna and tries to fill up the pot. And again, all the water falls out. And then the doctor is standing there and he's seeing what is happening. And then he sees that actually amongst all the women, Sri Radhika has come to watch the fun. So he spots her and says, I think this lady is the most chaste lady. And then Mother Yashoda, she also feels the same way. And then she goes and she implores Sri Radhika. Radhika doesn't want to do this at all, but she begs and begs and begs. And Sri Radhika, she takes the pot and she's only meditating on Krishna. She thinks, well, if Krishna wants this pastime fulfilled, it will happen. So she goes to the Jamuna and she puts the pot in the water and no water comes out. We see, this is an interesting picture of Radharani that someone painted. And she's putting the pot in full of holes, and Krishna is underneath the water and he's sealing the holes. So Radhika, she picks the pot up and no water comes out. Everyone is absolutely astonished. And then she brings the water back to the doctor, who sprinkles the water on Krishna, who immediately revives. And then the whole of Braj is proclaiming that Sri Radhika must be the most chaste young girl in the whole village, that she could perform such an act and carry this water pot full of holes, more chaste even than Jotila and Kotila. this, and therefore Jyotila and Kotila can now stop criticizing Sri Radhika. Why is Radhika the most chaste? Because she is so much a Kantika to Sri Krishna, who actually is her husband. In the truest sense of the word, Sri Radhika is the most chaste personality in existence. It's described that not even in the sun will look on the limbs of her body. She's always the most chaste of all personalities. So this is a pastime that demonstrates this very beautifully, particularly to shut Jyotila and Kotila up and to bring some relief for Sri Radhika in her life. So this is a very beautiful pastime. And the place where they filled up the pot is in Kailan Grove, this place where we are now, Kailan Van, where we are now, this place in Kailan Van. So this is where we've come, and my Gurudev will relate this pastime in Kailan Van, beautiful pastime, to demonstrate Sri Radhika's absolute chastity to Krishna exclusively. She thinks of no other man ever in her life. So this is Kailan Van. So now from Kailan Van, we go a very short distance and we come to Ramghat. Ramghat is so beautiful to perceive. When we come into this large courtyard, there's a huge vat tree right in the center. We'll see in a second. She'll put the picture of. So we come to the courtyard of Ramghat, and there's the huge tree on a big platform. And here we celebrate Ram dancing with the gopis, with the Braj gopis. When Krishna and Balaram are in Dwarka, and this is Ramghat, yes, okay. So they've got their back to the tree. And you're looking at the temple is actually under those three arches, and the center arch is the beautiful little temple that's here. It's a very, very sweet place. It's very rustic. It's far away from anywhere. When you come to this place, you can't hear the sounds of any traffic. You can hardly hear the sounds of anything. And it was here that Baladev, he dances with his own gopis. But the pastime is that when he was in Dwarka, you don't have a better picture of Ramghat? Okay. So the picture in the Parikrama book is actually better than what we've seen here. It's a large picture there. But in Dwarka, they understood the separation, height, and intensity of the Brijbasis. And Uddhav is there because Uddhav has left Vrindavan, and he's describing the separation of the Brijbasis to the assembly in Dwarka. And they're trying to encourage Krishna to go back and give his darshan to the Brijbasis and then come back again to Dwarka. But it's explained that Krishna cannot just come back and then leave again. If he comes back, he'll never be able to leave again. That won't be possible. Absolutely not possible. If he comes back, the height of their separation will just, like breaking a dam, just overflow. And Krishna will never be able to leave again. So Krishna knows that fully. So then he sends, or Baladev volunteers to visit Braj. So Baladev goes back to pacify the Brijbasis alone. And he comes into Braj and he spends many days reviving the consciousness of the Brijbasis. Of course, they are so joyful to receive the company again of Baladev, who is in full mood of his younger brother, Krishna. And it's described that Baladev, he holds his own Ras Leela with his own gopis at this particular spot during this visit. It's also described simultaneously that he has a Ras Leela with Krishna's gopis. And the only way to appreciate this and understand this is to be totally, totally off the bodily platform. This has nothing to do with mundane relationships or sex life or anything of that nature whatsoever. This is completely a spiritual pastime So Baladev, in his love for Krishna, is not engaging the same way that Krishna does with those Krishna's gopis, but still he's satisfying them because he himself is going like a Shyam hue in thoughts of Brajendra Nandan Shyam Sundar. He's coming blackish himself, just like we described in Madhuvan. When we're there, we see the black form of Dauji is there in Madhuvan, who performed this same Leela with the gopis. We hear the same pastime. So here in Ramgat, this pastime is enacted, where Baladev, he dances with his own gopis in one Ras Leela, and another Ras Leela, he dances just with Krishna's gopis. So these two considerations are there. And my Gurudev says we should never doubt this. If you are completely understanding the totally transcendental nature of this Ras Leela, then there's no impropriety or anything of that nature between Baladev pacifying. Yes, this is a much better picture. Now, this is as you come across the fields. This is Ramgad on these beautiful, huge trees. It's a splendid place to visit, a stan, because sometimes we visit and it's hot in summertime. And of course, the trees, they keep it shady. And in wintertime also, it's quite warm. So in all seasons, because of the trees, they create the shade in the summer and they create the heat of the warmth in the winter, in both cases. So we come to this very, very beautiful place, Ramghat. And just beside Ramghat, because Baladev, when he's dancing with his gopis, Varuna Devi, she manifests from the trees, the honey. Vrinda Devi, she orders Varuni Devi to offer Baladev some Varuni beverage, which is like an intoxicating drink made from the ooze coming out of the trees and the honey. And Baladev and all his gopis, they take this divine beverage of Varuni and they become intoxicated, somewhat intoxicated. And Balaram's eyes are rolling. And then Balaram, he desires at that time to take all his gopis to bathe in the Jamuna. But the Jamuna is a little bit distant from here. So he calls Jamuna Devi to come. But Jamuna Devi thinks that Baladev is intoxicated and doesn't come. She doesn't follow his calling. She doesn't yield to it and come. And Baladev becomes very angry when he realizes she's not listening to him. So then he threatens her. Then he takes his plow. This is at a place called Tapavan, which is right next to Ramghat. He takes his plow and he starts plowing a furrow to drag Jamuna directly to him where he is. And today, when we sit here, we can see directly the furrow marks of Baladev's plow, right etched into the ground. They're still there today. You can see there's perhaps 20 or 30 very large, like gullies that are the plow marks from Baladev. And then immediately, Jamuna Devi manifests to Baladev, begs forgiveness, and very beautiful prayers that she offers. But my Gurudev explains, this is not the original Jamuna Devi. The original Jamuna Devi is Vishaka Devi. Baladev would never ask her in that way. This is the Jamuna Devi that makes her way to the ocean, to the sea. And this in the form of Kalindi. This is a manifestation of Vishaka Devi. So this is Kalindi that Baladev called to him. It's not directly Vishaka. It's the Jamuna, but in the form of Kalindi, not Vishaka. So Baladev performs this beautiful pastime in Tapovan, which is right next to Ramghat. So we see both of these beautiful places today. Where we are, the atmosphere is very, very beautiful. We've left Govardhan, the busy township and all the people and so on like that. And we've come to this very open country area, right on the banks of the Jamuna. It's extremely beautiful and very invigorating for the yatris who have just been in congested Vrindavan and congested Govardhan with people and traffic and noise and so on. And we've come into this beautiful open space. So these are the 3-4 pastimes that take place in this forest of Kailanvan, and then Ramgat nearby, and then Tapovan nearby. So this is where we take our darshan, and we pray for Baladev, because on this side of the Jamuna, this is Baladev country. All along here, many pastimes that Baladev performed. And we're just going to go a little bit further, and we come to Shirgat, where Krishna steals the young cowherd girl's clothes. So this is just a little bit further, but just to appreciate the beauty of Vrindavan in this place is relation. So Shri Ram Gat ki jai, Kailanvan ki jai, Baladev Prabhu ki jai, Go Premnadi Hari Hari Bol, Vanchakalpa Durubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namah.
All right, well, thank you so much, Maharaj. Now we'll hand over, because we're very short on time. I won't be saying too much, because we have 3 speakers today, and Sripad Vaikhanas Maharaj looks very inspired right now. I'm going to hand over to him very quickly, so we can get through all 3 speakers and still be timely. Very well done about pranams.
Actually, I'm quite intimidated because I've been warned not to speak too long. I kind of lose track of time a lot of times.
I can give you a reminder.
No, I'm fine. I'm kind of making it. Although I'm serious also. So let me, without further ado, Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitan Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam pravajantam manapeta apeta krityam rapaino virha katara ajuhava putreti tan maitaya taravo binedus tam savabhutam hridayam munimanatosmi Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhaktya Vihina Padada Lakshay Kiptastika Tarangamadye Kripa Mai Tvam Sharanam Prapanna Vinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Tave Vasmi Najivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Pancha Kalptarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we begin always by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nitya Lila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asto Tarsat Sri Srimad Abhaya Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, and unto Sri Guru Pad Padmanita Lila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asto Tarsat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, unto our exalted Rupanuga Guru Varga, and all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Okay, so 2 places we were supposed to speak about. First one was Viharavan, and then Chiragat. Viharavan is one place we would stop by. Very beautiful spot, full of trees still, Kadamba trees, Tamal trees, and like all of Vrindavan, a place where Krishna would sometimes go with the Sakas, and wherever he would go with the Sakas, it was always, often, just an opportunity to also be with the gopis, right? The gopis are getting out of the house, going here and there on different errands. Krishna's getting out of the house, playing with his cowherd boys, but ultimately they're trying to meet somewhere. And so at this place, sometimes he'd be playing with the cowherd boys, playing flutes, playing games, the same way that Tridandi Maharaj explained before. And sometimes he would meet the gopis here as well. a really nice pastime between Srila Gurudev and Srila Trivikram Maharaj there, because when Srila Trivikram Maharaj would be with Gurudev on parikram, and you'll hear more about this tomorrow, he would often say things in a very contrary way just to excite Gurudev and excite his moods of affection for the gopis. And so he would praise Krishna and speak against the gopis. He'd say vira, vihara, it means to be defeated. And this is the place where Krishna, where Krishna defeated all the gopis, right? Gurudev would look at him happily annoyed, and then he would cut his argument, and then they would go back and forth. And this would encourage and inspire Gurudev to generally speak very beautiful tattva, very beautiful pastimes. So if you want to read about that, you can go to purebhakti.com and just look up Viharavan, and there's a really nice long conversation there. So then we go to Chiragat. Now, this is the pastime where Krishna stole the garments of the gopis. And so after the pastime of lifting Govardhan and all that went on there, the next month was the month that the young gopis were excited to worship Goddess Katyayani with the aim of getting Krishna as their husband, right? And these are the young girls, right? Unmarried girls. There are some older girls, slightly older girls, Radhika and her associates. They're already married. So this is not that group. This is a slightly younger group headed by Danya and also accompanied by their young maidservants. Not mentioned directly, this word Manjari, but these gopis also have maidservants. And you can read about this. Most beautiful descriptions are in Ananda Vrindavan Champu, which is so poetic and so beautiful. The descriptions of this, of the bathing of the gopis themselves. Gopal Champu, also very lovely descriptions, and the Srimad Bhagavatam and commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. When we go to this place, we pull up on the road, and then we have to walk through a couple of fields, and then we get to this spot where you see this old Kadamba tree. You see the picture there, and it's got all kinds of ribbons and clothes hanging from it because people come here to commemorate that. And although we don't generally bathe in the Jamuna because this is much more north and it's not come through Mathura yet with so much things being dumped into it and not in Vrindavan, sometimes devotees will bathe here also. Long sandy banks. So what happened was the gopis had this desire. Now they're slightly different descriptions, right? Of how it all came about in each of these sources, slightly different, but they all follow the same concept. And so in one description, they had this desire, right? That they have that after Krishna lifted Govardhan and all the gopis got to be with him so closely, their desire became so strong. Oh, somehow or other, we have to have Krishna as our husband. Now, generally, we read and hear that the gopis have a mood of parakia, but these are unmarried gopis. So they don't, their eternal condition is parakia, but this is a temporary mood. That Krishna will become our pati, our husband. But at some point in their prayers, they're saying that, well, even if we have other husbands, still we want Krishna. So the parakia mood is there in their hearts, but at this point they're praying as if they want Krishna as their husband. But they don't know what to do. So in one description, Vrindadevi comes and gives them some encouragement and gives them some mantra and direction, right? And so they're inspired then. Oh, then let us every day. They plan that they're going to go to the Jamuna, to this place, right? And we're going to do this vrat. And In the beginning, of course, there's some back and forth with their parents. Oh, are you sure you want to do this? You're young, delicate girls. It's very cold now. This is, depending on how the calendar works out, it can be December, even going into January. Very cold in Vrindavan. And your bodies are so delicate, like flowering creepers. These austerities are painful. How will you endure it? How can you do this? You shouldn't attempt to do this. We've never seen you do such a thing before. Remember, they're just little girls. Krishna, at this point, is 7 years old. He's not even turned 8, so they're also very young. But this only increased their determination, right? And so the parents want to know, who are you worshiping? Which devata are you going to worship to fulfill this, right? Uma, Pati, Madhav, Kamala, Brahma, right? And what are the objects? What are you going to do, right? How are you going to do this worship? How are you going to do this archan? So, nevertheless, even though these words appear to be discouraging, in the hearts of great devotees, no obstacle can overcome their determination, right? So even though they were discouraged and obstacles were put up, they all gathered together, and every morning they would go down to the Jamuna in the dark, right? In the dark. And for an entire month, they only ate havashan, very simple khichdi without spices. They didn't decorate themselves. They didn't put oil on their body, oil in their hair. They were just determined to perform this vrat, right? And so they gathered there. Let me see if I can get the Bhagavatam. They would chant this very beautiful mantra to the goddess Katyayani. Katyayani Mahamaye, Mahajogini Adishvari, Nanda Gopasutam Devi, Pati Me Kurute Namaha, Iti Mantram Chapantasta, Pujam Chakru Kamardika. And they would say, O goddess Katyayani, O great potency of the Lord, O possessor of great mystic power and mighty controller of all, please make the son of Nanda Maharaj my husband. I offer my obeisance to you. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he expands on this, and there's a big dialogue, between Katyayani and the gopis. Oh, well, we don't have time for that. If you want to read this, you can read the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in that chapter. Very, very interesting. But another point comes up, because they appear to be praying to Mahamaya, right? Mahamaya. Sometimes the word Mahamaya means Mahamaya, Mahayogini. Generally in India, when girls want a nice husband, they pray to Durga as Mahamaya, and sometimes the word Durga is given in this description as well. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Durga, and he cites references, Durga can mean Mahamaya, but it can also refer to Jogamaya, right? The Srup Shakti in Vrindavan. Mahamaya is her expansion for fulfilling the desires of people in the material world. So are the gopis praying to Mahamaya? No, never. In one sense, you could say they are, because they're performing Narvat Leela, human-like pastimes, right? So in human-like pastimes, girls would indeed pray to Mahamaya for this. So when they say Mahamaya, it appears like they're praying to her, but actually all their activities are always exclusively within the boundaries of the internal energy. So this Durga they're praying to is actually Jogamaya, right? They're never praying, because to pray to because Mahamaya, she can't award what they're actually praying for, right? So it's just a covering, that the less intelligent and non-devotional people, they may understand it in that way, right? And also, the warning about this pastime is that we're going to see and hear about things that cannot be understood from the material perspective. As Tridandi Maharaj was explaining with Baladev dancing with the gopis, and even Krishna's gopis, and playing very beautiful pastimes, there's nothing mundane or material about any of this. Baladev is the best of servants. Whatever he's doing is for the service of Krishna to alleviate the anxiety of the gopis. And whatever we're seeing here, when Krishna is going to steal these garments and make these demands of the gopis, it's all about exciting the highest moods of love and prema. So we'll get into that in just a moment, but there's nothing mundane about that. So every morning they go down and they make a very beautiful deity of the goddess on the bank of the Jamuna. In the Ananda Vrindavan Champu, there is a beautiful description of where they are at the Jamuna, in this very sandy place, right? With no footprints, no marks, right? No disturbance, no leaves. And they make this very beautiful murti. And they pray to this goddess, and they can feel the goddess coming into the murti. Their desire is so pure, right? They're such great devotees. Katyayani, knowing their desire and being the facilitator, of all these pastimes, Jogamaya herself, she blesses them and she comes, and they do a beautiful ceremony of offering her incense, oils to anoint her feet, her body, different ornaments, necklaces, beautiful clothing, right? And various foodstuffs that they bring. Their descriptions of all the different kinds of beautiful cakes and drinks and everything that they bring to offer her, right? Just extraordinary. And they do this every day, every single day. And they bathe also in this water. And that's also very sweet. I mean, because it's so cold. There's some charming descriptions when they go into the water, and they're in their little silken white bathing dresses, right? And they're so cold that wrapping their arms, clutching their legs, bending over, just laughing at each other because they're so cold, but they're enjoying it. They're enjoying it. And in the spiritual world, these experiences are there, but they don't produce the same kind of duality that we have here. Our duality is happiness and genuine distress. Their duality is these things excite different kinds of prema. And so it excites in them, we're doing this austerity, but we're doing this to please the goddess and to get Krishna as our husband. So they're laughing and joyful at the same time, right? And so they're very happy that they can do this every day. And there's a description. I'm not going to get into too many descriptions because there's not so much time, and you should read it on your own according to qualification. But listen to this. This is Kavi Kanapur talking about them when they come out of the water. And it says, the water dripping from the garments on the limbs of the young, beautiful, doe-eyed gopis with pretty smiles fell onto the earth. It seemed that their bodies wept golden tears after being tortured by the cold black waters of the Jamuna. Why? Because their bodies were shimmering with their own golden effulgence, which reflected in these beautiful drops of Jamuna water, transcendental Jamuna water. Golden tears coming from their bodies, right? The water birds that had spent their youth among the blooming lotus flowers in the Jamuna saw these drops as the wonderful essence of nectarian beauty. The shimmering light emanating from their golden bodies made the gopis look like blissful embodiments of the goddess of fortune. The water previously caught in their hair now poured out rapidly. It appeared as if the gopis cried out of fear. Right? So everything in Vrindavan, in this transcendental place, is beautiful. and is favorable for Ras. So even the water in their hair, all right, they're out of the water. Now it just falls out very beautifully. Unlike our hair, like Tarun this morning took his bath, his hair wouldn't dry, right? It was just all matted and wet because he doesn't have transcendental hair and he's not in the Jamuna, right? But these gopis, everything comes. And then they dry themselves nicely. They remove the water and they're just, it says after bathing and drying, they're creeper-like bodies. Why are they creepers? Because they're wrapped around the tamal tree, their love. They're wrapped around, the gopis, they're like creepers wrapped around the tamal tree of Krishna, right? And they looked even more beautiful. And these creepers are those golden creepers. There's a special kind of creeper in Vrindavan that's golden and extraordinarily beautiful. And then they filled their lotus mouths with the sweet name of Krishna. That sweet name of Krishna that they're chanting comes out, beautiful sound and even beautiful fragrance, right? And it makes them look, their whole face becomes even sweeter, right? And their dresses, now they put on their clothes, attractive lacing of gold and silver threads. They tie their hair, and then they go to the bank where they perform that, the bank of the river where they perform that beautiful puja of Katyayani, right? And so they request her to come, and Katyayani does come in that deity form, and they worship her for an entire month, right? And all that time, their desire is building more and more. At the end of the month, Krishna, who's completely aware of their desire and of their prayers, now that everything's reached a peak, it's the last day, right? Now, it's been described by our Gurudev that, and elsewhere, I can't remember which section I read it in, but on the last day, they also invited Srimati Radhika and her friends to come and partake in the last day celebration because the vrat has been completed. And so Krishna's coming, drawn by their devotion, but it's also described that now that they have the blessings of Radhika, now their desire can be truly fulfilled. Because without Radhika's blessing, how can anyone become a servant, either directly a gopi or one of the Manjari servants of a gopi, but all ultimately serving under the direction of Srimati Radhika? She must bless this, right? No matter what camp you're going to be, whether you're Vipaksh, Swapaksh, Suhrit, Tatashta, all come under the guidance and direction of Srimati Radhika. So Krishna comes. And that day he's with his friends and Baladev, he comes near that area. But then when they're kind of close, he tells his other friends to, stay where they are, and he goes with just 3 or 4 of his young friends who are in the form of little toddlers, 2 or 3 years old. And it's described how he sneaks up very sneakily, because they're close on the bank and they're in the water right next to them. And he sneaks up very carefully. And while they're distracted, takes all of their clothes and puts them on a tree. Yeah. And then they are prepared to come out of the water and they look. Well, first they hear a laughter coming from the tree. They can't see where it's from, but they hear this loud laugh. It's Krishna, and then it's boys. And they get startled. What? They thought they were alone. You saw the picture where Chiragad is. It's not near any of the places where they live, right? They've gone off to a solitary place. And they become startled, and then they look and they see there's this tree, and all their clothes are there, and their clothes aren't where they left them. And then Krishna reveals himself. And then there's a long dialogue, which we don't have time to get into, but in Gopal Champu, in the expanded purports of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and in Nanda Vrindavan Champu, Krishna is taunting the gopis, telling them to come out. He found these clothes. They say, it's our clothes. Give us our clothes back. Krishna's saying, how do I know they're your clothes? Right? How do I know? They could be any woman's clothes. Oh, what woman comes here in this secluded place? The demigoddesses, they come every night to this place to do prayers. Why would they leave their clothes? They may have. There are clothes, it's obvious. And then they try all kinds of different ways to convince Krishna to give them their clothes, which Vishwanath Chakravarti describes as the different kinds of argument or diplomacy. They praise him and try to encourage him. Oh, you're the son of a king. You have such great qualities. Therefore, you should not act irreligiously. Oh, if I'm the son of a king and I have all these qualities, then how could I ever act irreligiously? Right? And they threaten him. They say they're going to call the king. He rebuffs that. They try to weaken his resolve in different ways, but nothing works. And then finally, they realize that they've got to come out. But while this is going on, they're also greatly enjoying. On the one hand, they're arguing and chastising Krishna. On the other, they're absolutely joyful because Krishna is taunting and speaking to them in such a way, such an intimate, erotic way even, that only a husband would speak like that to a wife. And so in that subtle way, he's actually showing his love and his prema. It's a kind of a messenger. There are different ways in which messages are exchanged. And in this subtle kind of conversation, he's showing that actually I'm accepting you in this way. And so he says, if you want your clothes now, you're going to have to come out. And you've committed an offense. So you're going to have to pay some penance. What do you mean offense? Well, it's the last, you're bathing naked in the river. This is a custom. Village girls can do this. No, you made a vow to Lord Narayan. You know, and the demigods, you've insulted them. You can't do this in a vrat. Be naked. And they thought, oh, if we made some mistake, and he convinces them, they have to come out, get their clothes. And so they come out, but they're so shy. And when they first start to come out, they're joking with each other. Oh, you go first. No, you go first. And but they're happy. They're happy. And they're saying, we can't come out. We don't have any clothes. And Krishna says, I can see you're clothed. I see golden cloth around each of your bodies, because again, that golden effulgence of their form, when he looks at them in the water, he sees that gold effulgence, that aura surrounding all of their bodies. They're so beautiful. And then he convinces them, but when they start to come out gradually, they're a little hunched over, their long hair is covering their breasts, and their hands are covering their lower private parts. And they coming out one by one, and then Krishna says, this will not do. You've made an offense. You have to pray to Lord Narayan. And since Gargamuni has said that I'm like Narayan, you have to raise your hands in supplication. So first they just kind of bow down with their hands folded. No, you have to put your hands over your head. Then with one hand they raise it over while still keeping themselves covered in their lower parts. And then he says, no, you have to come out and completely raise your hands above your head. In other words, expose yourself completely. Now, all this time there's been a war between their quality of shyness and chastity, even though they are absolutely wondrous and happy that Krishna wants them and is accepting them, but this quality of shyness is holding them back, impeding. So there's a war where they're equally strong. But ultimately, we know that one of the qualities of the gopis, that quality which separates them from everyone else, is that they will give up every consideration of mundane dharma to please and satisfy Krishna. And the Gopal Champu, Krishna says to them, and he's wondering, can they pass this final test? Jai Shri Shri Radha Raman Juk Ki Jai Lava Vishaka Rupa Manjari Hek Manjari Ki Jai Shri Prabhu Shri Gurudev. Vaididis just came out. Dun, dun. Can they pass this final test? Raise your hands above your heads, right? And he says, I want to become submissive to you. In other words, what we always hear, Krishna will reciprocate the prema of his devotees in the way in which they want to serve and be with him. So he said, I want to be with you completely. Can you be with me? Can you give up everything and be with me completely? So this is that test. And the commentaries of our acharyas is to make sure that we understand there's no mundane lust. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that their bodies were fully developed. They were very young, but in this instance, this pastime, their bodies were fully developed. But Krishna had no mundane lust. This is all about pure, absolute, selfless love, doing anything to satisfy Krishna. And when it's read in that light, and when you read the descriptions given by Kavi Kanapur and Jiva Goswami, and in the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti, you appreciate it, you become so exalted. Then finally they come out, and Krishna's so pleased. He's got their garments all around, all covering his body, because they're infused with their fragrance. And he's saying, I'm covering myself with you. Touching their garments is like touching them. And he gives them back each of their garments infused with his own fragrance. And now they've given up all shyness, but as soon as they dress, they're shy again, right? But they're so happy because Krishna's accepted their vrat. And so who fulfilled this? Did Katyayani? They prayed to Katyayani. No, Krishna himself. And why Krishna himself? Because Radhika also has accepted them. Yes, they're worthy. And then he says, now, my dear gopis, you should go back to your village. Very soon we will be together again, and we will dance in the night. He's promising them. And in the autumn, we will engage in Rasa Leela. You have satisfied me, but for now, go back to your village and be with your families. So very reluctantly, they go, but infused with the mood and the happiness of their successful vrat, they go back. And this is Chiragat. When we were in Bangalore, we would do this during this month of this, during this Katyayana Vrat. And we would read the whole Bhagavatam section, commentary, read the whole Ananda Vrindavan Champu, read the Gopal Champu, and read them twice each during that month, one after the other. And you can do that next month. It's coming up very soon. It's remarkable. Just so wonderful, so wonderful. It's the prelude to the first Rasa Leela. So we'll stop here, right on time, right? So I didn't go over my time this time. So I thank all the devotees for giving us the opportunity to speak. Gratitude to Shrudadwaiti. Looking forward to hearing my dear friend Sachi Prabhu in Houston. How are you? So good
Hare
to see
Krishna
you.
Maharaj. Dandavad
Great.
Pranam Maharaj.
Guy,
So kind of you.
where's your wife? Is she probably cooking or something,
Oh,
It's,
she's taking care of the two kids, trying to prevent them from running into this Zoom call.
okay, that's right. That's right. Yeah, she's from Bangalore. I don't know,
Yes,
she
Maharaj.
used to visit us in one of our early preaching centers,
Yes, Maharaj. Yes.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see you. I haven't been
We
to
miss
Houston.
you in the pizza, Maharaj. We miss you in the pizza.
Your wife is the most expert. Anyway, we had a whole Ross. Anyway, let's hear this kata. Thank you very much. Gaur Premanande Haribol.
Very well. I don't think I really need to say anything. I think you've already done the handover, so I won't say anything except we will take our last leg with Sriman Sachinandan Prabhu from Houston. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Tarun Krishna Prabhu, I have one request from you if you don't mind. Do you mind helping me read some of the slides? I've got a couple of slides that I would like to.
Sure.
I'll just call on you if that's okay whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks. So can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and thank you so much for allowing me to come in this assembly of great Vaishnavas, and thank you so much for attending. First of all, before we begin, I'd like to perform Mangalacharan. So, Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikayai Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Stadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaye Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. So first of all, I'd like to offer my millions of obeisances unto the lotus feet of my divine spiritual master, Nityalila Vishnu Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Srila Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and also say millions of obeisances unto the lotus feet of Nityalila Vishnu Vishnupada Stotra Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, and all the Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga. And I pray to their lotus feet that whatever we discuss today, may it be in accordance with their Vani, with their moods, and may we imbibe those within our hearts and lives. Next, I'd like to offer my obeisances and my pranams unto Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj and Sripad Bhaktivedanta Vaikhanas Maharaj, and I believe also Sripad Bhaktivedanta Shuddha Advaiti Maharaj, who is there, and to all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis present. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak today. And as previously indicated by Tarun Prabhu, today we will be going to Vatsavan, also known as Bachadavan, and to the temple of Garud Govinda. So I've just prepared this brief presentation so that everybody can kind of follow along, and we'll highlight primarily the moods or the bhavs of the sakhas today in these two pastime places. The mood of the sakhas is highlighted greatly. So the presentation will be mostly about Sakhya Bhav, but of course we will touch on those things that are very dear to our acharyas also. So first we'll start off by understanding a little bit about Sakhya Bhav, because oftentimes we discuss Madhurya Ras, or the feelings of the beloved gopis, but sometimes we don't often hear about the beautiful moods of the sakhas. So we'll take some verses from Sri Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami and try to understand how deep their love is for Sri Krishna also. And this is expressed greatly in the pastime of Sri Brahma Vimohan Leela, which is occurring in the pastime place of Vatsavan. And then we'll go to Sri Garuda Govinda, where the Sakha Sridham is taking the form of Garud, and we'll hear a little bit about that pastime. And I will try to be very conscious of time to ensure that we cover everything. So this verse has been written by Srila Rupa Goswami and Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. So it's in my opinion, it's a very beautiful verse that describes a variety of different sakhas as they look upon Sri Krishna when he's lifting the Govardhan hill. So of course, just 2 days ago, we celebrated Sri Govardhan Puja. So this gives an indication of what the sakhas feel when Sri Govardhan was lifted. So the verse goes like this. Onnidrasya yustavata viratim sapta shapastishtato hanta shranta ivasi nikshipa sakhe Sridama pano girim आदिर्विद्यति नस्त्वमर्पय करे किं वाक्षणं दक्षिणे दोष्णस्ते करवाम काममधुना सव्यस्य संवाहनम्. Tarun Prabhu, can you read the translation?
O Krishna, you have spent 7 nights standing constantly without sleep, holding up Govardhan. You must be very tired. O my friend, throw the mountain into Sridham's hand. Our minds are very disturbed seeing you in this condition. Or at least place the mountain in your right hand. Then we will be able to massage your left hand.
So this verse is a combination of many of the moods the various sakhas have. So actually, there are 4 types of sakhas described by Srila Rupa Goswami, and they are separated by their category and age, and also the type of pastime that they do. So the first are the older sakhas, those who are older than Sri Krishna. Those are known as the Suhrit sakhas. Then comes the sakhas. So sometimes we use this word sakha, but actually, if we technically look at Srila Rupa Goswami's writings, then sakha means those who are actually younger than Sri Krishna. Then there are the priya sakhas, who are the same age as Sri Krishna, such as Sridham. And then finally, the priya narma sakhas, who conduct the most confidential pastimes. So the Suhrit Sakhas, as you can imagine, just like an older brother, like Sri Baladev Prabhu, they have some mood of Vatsalya or a parental mood. They are concerned for Sri Krishna, like a parent also. So not only do they have Sakhya Bhav, but they have a tinge of Vatsalya Bhav. And so often they engage in such activities like giving advice to Sri Krishna or watching out for his benefit. So in that way, they have some parental mood as well. Then there are the sakhas who are younger. And the younger sakhas, they have a mood mixed with a bit of dasya ras. So they like to massage Shri Krishna, they like to fan him, they like to serve him, and they're always concerned with finding a way to serve Shri Krishna in his Sakhya Bhav pastimes. Then there are the Priya Sakhas, and I mentioned Sridham being one of them. These sakhas have pure sakyaras. So Srila Rupa Goswami describes they have no dasya bhav and they have no vatsalya bhav. They're completely friends because they're the same age as Sri Krishna. So they have the mood that Sri Krishna is my equal. And sometimes they even have the mood that I am better than Sri Krishna. So they are engaging in such activities like fighting with him. It's described that they are performing hand-to-hand combat. There are various sports. And you can imagine boys, when you get a bunch of boys together, at least in my childhood, then those that are the same age, they're always wrestling with each other. They're always trying to defeat one another and having fun, as Sripad Vaikhanas Maharaj mentioned earlier. And then finally, the Priya Narma Sakhas. And the Priya Narma Sakhas are very, very special. And that is because they engage in the most confidential pastimes of Sri Krishna. That is those pastimes with the beloved gopis. So the Priya Narma Sakhas would do such things as being the messengers of Sri Krishna. There's a pastime of Madhumangal, being the messenger of Krishna in the pastime of the pearls. So Madhumangal, etc., are Priya Narma Sakhas. They are engaging in various activities. And when Sri Krishna, for example, in Dan Keli, is coming in front of the gopis, they are surrounding him, then they take the side of Sri Krishna. But when Sri Krishna is alone and they are having these intimate discussions about the gopis, then they take the side of the gopis to enhance Sri Krishna's mood. So in this way, there are 4 different sakhas. And if we go back to the original verse composed by Srila Rupa Goswami, then you can see actually there's 3 different moods being presented here. The first is the Suhrit sakhas, because they're concerned for Krishna. Oh, he must be so tired. Our dear friend must be so tired. And so they have this mood of giving him advice and being concerned for him like a parent. Then the Priya Sakhas, as I mentioned, those who are equal in age, like Sridham. Now, Sridham does not think that he's any weaker than Krishna. In fact, oftentimes he thinks he's stronger than Krishna. So if Krishna can lift the Govardhan hills, then so can I. So then the Priya Sakha says, hey, why don't you hand it off for a little bit to Sridham, and he will handle it so that you can rest because I'm sure you're very tired. And then finally, the Sakhas, those who are younger, they're interested in serving Sri Krishna. So they say, oh, his left hand must be so tired. So if he shifted it to his right hand, then we would have the opportunity to massage him. So these different verses from Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu are very, very wonderful and full of very deep moods. Now, the Sakhas, of course, we often hear of their intense love for Sri Krishna, but the vice versa is also true. See, during this pastime where Sri Krishna killed Aghasur, then you might remember, as seen in this picture, the Sakhas entering the mouth of Aghasur. And they're joyfully entering the mouth of Aghasur because they think it's such a wonderful cave. But Krishna, of course, knows the reality and he's very, very concerned. So Srila Rupa Goswami, just a few verses later, is just describing that Krishna also feels great, intense love for the Sakhas. So Tarun Prabhu, can you read the translation for this verse?
Krishna says, O brother, O respected one, on seeing all my friends quickly enter into the stomach of the Agar demon, hot tears began flowing from my eyes, and my cheeks became thin. Being despondent for some time, my mind became vacant.
So upon seeing his friends in danger, Krishna also experiences great moods towards them, great moods of concern, great moods of love. And so the intense bond between the sakhas, if you can imagine when you were a child, the intensity of love that you had with your friends. Because as a child, you might remember that friends were everything, not your parents, not anyone else. Just the friends were everything. And playing with them, enjoying with them, sharing private talks with them was was the joy of life. And similarly, when Shri Krishna is engaging in this pastime, he is also very, very concerned and has deep love for the sakhas. So when we try to understand the different leelas that Krishna has with his sakhas, then we should understand those moods before we begin. So I hope that we are now in the mood of understanding the Sakhya Ras that is flowing between Sri Krishna and his dear friends. Now, once upon a time in Vatsavan, where we are here today, then Sri Krishna is engaging in his noontime pastime. That is, he's engaging in eating his lunch. So after killing Agasur is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna and his friends are very tired. And they're very tired and they're hungry. Now, when there's so many sakhas, of course, surrounding Krishna, and there's so many hundreds of thousands of cows also. So they find a very nice field, a very nice area where the grass is very green and soft. And they all say, okay, this is a wonderful place to sit. Let us take our lunch here. So Sri Krishna is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Sri Krishna is sitting as if he is the center of the whorl of a lotus. And each of the sakhas is surrounding him like the whorl of a lotus. So you can imagine the layers or the petals of the lotus being the center being Sri Krishna. And just Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is describing in his commentary that just like the petals are completely connected to the center of the lotus, there's no separation between the center of the lotus and the petals. Similarly, they're sitting edge to edge. There's no separation between Sri Krishna and each and every one of the sakhas. And for those of you who have been around Srila Gurudev, whenever Srila Gurudev would enter an assembly or enter the hall or leaving the hall after finishing his katha, then it was like he was the center of this lotus. And all the devotees would gather around Srila Gurudev, and each and every devotee thought that Srila Gurudev was looking at them and them only. And they thought, oh, I am the most dear to Srila Gurudev, and Srila Gurudev is my best friend. So similarly, the sakhas also had this mood, though there were so many sakhas. And if we think about the material plane, it's impossible for every one of them to think or to see Krishna directly in front of them. But because Sri Krishna is Sri Krishna, then each and every sakha thinks that Krishna is looking at them only. And they are exchanging this rasa, and they are also exchanging various preparations made by their mothers. Some are feeding it directly in his mouth. Some are taking a bite and say, oh, Krishna, taste this. My mother made this delicious puri, this pura, this halwa, these fruits, etc. So they're exchanging all different sort of moods with Sri Krishna. And all the demigods, it's described in the Bhagavatam that all the demigods are astonished because they say Sri Krishna is the consumer of the yajna sacrifices. So if you've ever been to a yajna, everyone offers their ahuti or everyone offers their samagri, and they say swaha, om gundaya swaha, and they're offering to Sri Krishna, and Sri Krishna is accepting in the form of Agni, and he is taking all the offerings in the yajna. But they're astonished because that is a proper Vedic sacrifice. But the demigods are astonished that, hey, here the Sakhas are feeding Sri Krishna directly, and they're feeding their juta. That means their remnants. They've eaten it already. And they are so astonished by such behavior. So in this way, Sri Krishna defeats all the things that commonly occur in the Vedas that the yogis perform, because his mood for the sakhas is so deep that he accepts their offerings very directly. So when the demigods are seeing this, a thought comes in Sri Brahma's mind. And we will describe that our acharyas, and particularly Srila Gurudev, gave a very unique angle. So the way it is described in the Bhagavatam is that Brahma becomes bewildered and he wants to test Krishna and he wants to see Krishna. But our Gurudev describes this pastime in a completely different way. So because of time, we will take that way instead, and we will try to understand how Srila Gurudev wrote such a beautiful commentary on this pastime. In any case, Brahma, he somehow directs the calves and the cows while the boys are enjoying the lunch. Then Brahma creates and attracts their attention to a field of beautiful grass and lakes and rivers. So the cows, naturally wanting to also eat, they go to this field and they become gradually separated from the sakhas. And when Shri Krishna and the sakhas notice this, then they become concerned. And Shri Krishna says, wait, you all enjoy your lunch, no worries. I will go and get all the cows and calves and I'll be right back. So he leaves and he goes and searches for the cows here and there, here and there. And in the meantime, Sri Brahma comes and he steals the cows and he steals the cowherd boys. Now, let's take a step back and try to understand what is happening here. Now, across all of Vraj, there are various moods being displayed by the various Vrajvasis. So, for example, the elder gopis, those that are like Mother Yashoda, those in the mood of Vatsalya or parental mood, they have this mood that, oh, we love Krishna more than our own sons. Shri Krishna is our dearmost son. And they feel no difference, even though Shri Krishna did not come from their womb. But they also had this sincere desire that I wish that my dear Krishna would come back home to me. Instead of going to Nanda Bhavan or Yashoda Maiya's home, that he should come back home to me. So they're always concerned for Shri Krishna, and they're having this intense desire that Shri Krishna become my son. Similarly, the cows and the calves, they're also having this mood. Sorry, the cows, the mother cows, they're having this mood that Shri Krishna should become my calf. Now, whenever the cows see Shri Krishna, as if you might have seen that painting of Venugit by Shri Shamarani Didi, you'll see some cows in the background, and they're completely stunned when he's blowing his flute. They're completely stunned. They don't know how to chew the grass. They stop chewing the grass. Their ears are perked and milk is flowing from their udders. Because when they see Sri Krishna, they have desire to feed him milk. And so the intense desire of the mother cows is that Sri Krishna should also become my calf. And of course, finally, the younger gopis. The younger gopis also, they're experiencing, because this pastime is occurring when Krishna is just about 5 years old, is described. So he's just about to enter Pauganda. So the young gopis, they're very, very shy. And as Sripad Vaikhanas Maharaj just mentioned in the pastime of Krishna stealing the clothes of the gopis, they're extremely shy, but they're desiring that Sri Krishna becomes my husband. So in this way, all the Vrajavasis have intense desires to directly associate with Krishna. And so in this way, this is happening in the background. Now, Srila Gurudev describes that when Brahma comes, he has a unique mood in his heart. So Tarun Prabhu, what is Gurudev describing the mood of Sri Brahma?
Do you want me to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
He knew Krishna as the Supreme Lord. When Krishna killed Aghasur, Lord Brahma saw Aghasura's soul enter into Krishna's lotus feet. he thought, how wonderful this is. I want to see more sweet pastimes. That is why he thought of stealing the calves and boys.
So when Brahma comes, he decides that I want to see more beautiful pastimes like this. Now, in the Bhagavatam, some of the acharyas give the angle of vision that Brahmaji is trying to test Krishna. But our Gurudev, because Brahma is actually our Adi Guru, the head of our sampradaya, then Srila Gurudev takes on this mood that Brahma actually is desiring to see more pastimes of Sri Krishna, and therefore he does this pastime of stealing the cows and stealing the gopas. So Gurudev continues in this exchange with one devotee. Prabhu, can you please read this?
In the meantime, Krishna was thinking how to fulfill 4 wishes. Sorry, your face was in the way. The desire of all the teenage gopis, the desires 2, the desires of the cows and mothers, 3, the desire of Lord Brahma, 4, his own desire to taste the affection of these associates. When Krishna was contemplating in this way, Yogamaya once appeared to him and said, Prabhu, you are thinking about tasting these relationships, so I will arrange for this right away. This is why she caught hold of Brahma and brought him under her influence.
So it was actually Krishna's own potency, Yogamaya, that came into Brahma's heart and engaged him in this activity. Anyhow, the pastime continues. Brahmaji, he steals the cowherd boys and he steals the calves and he places them far away into a cave. And then he departs, thinking, what will Krishna do next? So Shri Krishna, after searching for the cows, he comes back and of course he sees that the cowherd boys are completely gone. And it's described in the Bhagavatam that he starts to wonder, oh, where are they? And he's looking here and there and here and there. And as they say in Vrindavan, Shri Krishna forgets his Bhagavata. He forgets that he is Bhagavan. But soon thereafter, after searching here and there, then he remembers his Aishwarya potency and his opulence potency that he is Bhagavan, and he understands what Brahma has done. Now, in this verse, when it is being described, our Srila Prabhupada, he describes that actually the sakhas, the cowherd boys, the cows, and everybody in Vrindavan, and not just everyone in Vrindavan, but all the things in Vrindavan, the trees, the clothes of the sakhas, the sticks that they're carrying, the horns that they have, and all the instruments that they carry, everything is actually Ananda Chinmay Ras. So he quotes this verse from Brahma Samhita, Ananda Chinmay Ras Pratibhavitavis. And he says that Srila Prabhupada is describing that Krishna and his entire entourage, meaning all the gopas, they're actually made of spiritual potency, Ananda Chinmay Ras. And actually all of them are just expansions of Krishna. They're Jiva Tattva, but they're all expansions of Krishna. And this will be described in Brahma Vimohan Leela. So Srila Prabhupada is actually giving a hint here, because when we read this commentary, we're thinking, oh, wait, Brahma, he's on this material platform. He's in the material world. He was emanating from a lotus. How could someone such as Brahma steal the sakhas who are nitya siddhas, who are the eternal associates of Sri Krishna? So a doubt comes in the mind that how could Brahma steal the cowherd boys when they're actually above him? They're on the transcendental platform. So in this regard, when we're reading that commentary, that doubt should come in our mind that, wait, how could this happen? And this is where the beauty of Srila Gurudev comes in, because even after reading all of the Acharya's commentaries, we don't see this particular commentary. This is coming from the heart of Srila Gurudev. And Srila Gurudev is describing that actually it is the Yogamaya potency at work. Because Brahma, though he has so much potency, he has so much Shakti, he has a Maya of his own. It is not even a tinge of the strength of Yogamaya Devi. So Srila Gurudev continues that actually Brahma did not steal the original set of the cowherd boys. There were actually 3 sets of cowherd boys that were made. So Taran Prabhu, can you read about the various 3 sets that Srila Gurudev describes?
One set consisted of the original boys and calves, and they were covered by Yogamaya. Mahamaya made a replica of those same cowherd boys and calves, and this was the second set, the set that Brahmaji stole. Regarding the third set, Krishna personally expanded as that third set. This is the thing I wanted to tell you.
So there were actually 3 sets of boys. And though in the Bhagavatam this is not described in just the translations, Srila Gurudev is describing that the original set, that means those who are Nityasid Parikars or associates of Sri Krishna, they became covered by Yogamaya during this pastime. And they were covered by Yogamaya, and he gives 2 different commentaries. In one commentary, he says that it's like they were put into a slumber. And that slumber felt like only a moment for them, but in fact, it was for a full year. So they were covered by Yogamaya such that no one else saw them, and they did not see anyone else. In fact, they continued to engage in this pastime of eating lunch. And then in another commentary, Srila Gurudev says that actually, because the pastimes of Sri Krishna are occurring in so many universes around the world, around the universe, so many pastimes are simultaneously occurring in different planets here and there, so that these sakhas were transferred to a different universe and continue to conduct the pastime of eating lunch with Sri Krishna. So the original set remained as is. This second set was created by Mahamaya. See, as Srila Prabhupada described, that Sri Krishna's associates are actually non-different from him. They are his expansions of Sri Krishna. So how could they be touched by someone like Brahma? So this set from Mahamaya is the one that was actually stolen by Brahma. And then finally, the third set, Sri Krishna became each and every one of the cowherd boys and each and every one of the cows himself. And in this way, he was able to satisfy those 4 wishes with this third set that were described earlier by Srila Gurudev. Now, when Sri Krishna becomes all the cowherd boys and all the calves, then so many wonderful things take place in Vrindavan. So, for example, Garga Muni comes. Now, Garga Muni, who we know came during the pastime of the naming of Sri Krishna. Then Garga Muni comes, and he begins telling all the elderly gopis, all the elderly gopas, that this is the most auspicious year for you to betroth your daughter to the various gopas in Vrindavan. Meaning you should it's a very auspicious year to get married. Therefore, all the gopis should get married in this year. Now, because the gopis, as described previously, they had intense desire that Sri Krishna become my husband. So in this year, all of the gopis and gopas, they take the advice of Garga Muni and they get their young gopis, their young daughters, married to each and every one of the gopas. Now, of course, who are those gopas? Those are Sri Krishna himself. So in this way, Sri Krishna satisfies the desires of the gopis. Now, also what is happening is that the mothers in Vrindavan, they had the intense desire that Sri Krishna become their son. So because Krishna is now their son, Krishna is in the form of their own son, then their intense affection increases significantly. And it's described in the Bhagavatam that previously they would wait for Krishna to come back from the forest, and they would be staring at Krishna with the hopes that Krishna too may come in their house one day. But now, because their son is non-different from Krishna, he's Krishna himself, then they start to have intense love for their own sons, just as they do for Sri Krishna himself. So when the mothers, they're showing their affection for their sons, then Baladev Prabhu is completely surprised. And it is described that the cows, the mother cows, previously their milk would flow from their udders when they saw Sri Krishna. And their milk would only flow for the younger calves, those who were just born from them. But because Sri Krishna became their older calves, because remember when Sri Krishna goes for Gocharan, he takes the slightly older calves at this age. Then the cows began to have intense affection for their older calves. Now, if you've ever been on a farm, then if a mother cow has two children, one older and one younger, then naturally their affection for their younger calf will be more intense. But here it is described in the Bhagavatam, because Sri Krishna became their older calf, then their affection for their older calf became even more intense than their younger calf. So the Bhagavatam is describing that Sri Baladev Prabhu, he goes and he's wandering around Vrindavan and he's seeing, wait, what is happening? The elderly gopas and gopis are having more affection for their own sons than before. And he sees that the cows are running here and there trying to feed their older calves. What is happening? This is highly unusual. And even when the gopas used to get mad at their children, as soon as they would see their children, their intense affection for them increased and they forgot why they were angry. So Baladev Prabhu is wondering, how is this happening? What is going on? This is not normal. So then he goes with Krishna and he sees all this, and then he describes to Sri Krishna, what potency are you covering me with? What is happening here? And then Sri Krishna describes that, oh Baladev Prabhu, this is occurring due to my Yoga Maya potency, which has the Shakti to cover even Baladev Prabhu. So in this way, Sri Krishna is enjoying the ras, the love and affection of all the Vrajavasis, and satisfying their intense desire that they have. Now, in the meantime, Brahma, when he leaves and after stealing the cows and the cowherd boys, he departs for what is described a moment. Now, of course, Brahma's moment actually is equal to 1 year in this material world. So in that moment, he goes back to Brahmalok. Gurudev describes that this is given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and also in the Puranas, that Brahma goes back to his abode, Brahmalok. And there in Brahmalok, when he's about to enter, unfortunately, he's stopped. Now, Brahma is stopped by the doorkeepers of Brahmalok and saying, oh, and they're saying to Brahma, oh, you are such an imposter. We were told by our ruler, Brahma, that an imposter that looks like us will come. And if you see in this picture, right in the center here, where my mouse is, you'll see our four-headed Brahma of this universe. And he's so tiny. He's so tiny in comparison to all the other Brahmas of various universes. Now, this is a different pastime where Sri Krishna is destroying the ego or the ahankar of Brahma. But Brahma is going to Brahmalok and he's stopped from entering his own loka. That is because Sri Krishna becomes Brahma and he enters the abode of Brahmalok and he tells the guard keepers, hey, an imposter that looks like me is going to be coming soon. Make sure he does not enter. So when the original Brahma comes, then Brahma becomes bewildered and he begins thinking, oh, I have committed a great mistake. Actually, the lesson is, our acharyas describe that Brahma, then his bewilderment is completely removed and he rushes back to Vrindavan. And when he rushes back to Vrindavan, now Brahma has 4 heads. So Gurudev jokes that from his left eye he sees that the cows and the calves and the cowherd boys that he stole, they're still in the cave. And from his right face, from his right eyes, then he sees that, wait, they're enjoying the pastimes just like normal. Then finally, Shri Krishna, he displays his Yogmaya potency, and he shows Brahma that actually each and every one of the sakhas are non-different from him. And he shows him the form. He shows that each of the sakhas have the form of Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayan, because the worshipable deity of Brahma is Shri Vishnu. So it's described that Brahma sees that all the sakhas, all their sticks, all their clothes, even the dust of Vraj, even the trees, the cows, the calves, they're all non-different from Shri Krishna. And then he realizes his mistake. So when Brahma realizes that he has committed a grave error and that he is Bhagavan, Shri Krishna is Bhagavan, then he begins offering him prayers. Now, Srila Gurudev describes that these prayers are very, very wonderful and unique, because only our Brahma, that is why we accept Brahma as our head of our sampradaya. It's because of these prayers that our acharyas accepted Brahma as the head of our sampradaya. So even though the Bhagavatam is sort of describing that Brahma becomes bewildered and he makes an error and there's a mistake, actually Srila Gurudev describes that his desire is to see more pastimes. And this is the internal mood that he has. So in this prayer by Brahmaji, he's describing that he would like to become the dust or a particle of dust in Vrindavan. So this is a very famous prayer. Let us recite this. Tad bhuri bhagyam iha janma kim apyatavyam yad gokulepi katamangri rajobhishekam yad jivitam tu nikhilam bhagavan mukundas tvadyapi yatpada rajaha shruti mrigyameva. So Tarun Prabhu, can you read the translation?
Yes, Lord Brahma said, "My greatest possible good fortune would be to take any birth, whatever, in this forest of Gokul, and have my head bathed by the dust falling from the lotus feet of any of its residents. Their entire life and soul is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda, the dust of whose lotus feet is still being searched for in the Vedic mantras."
So Lord Brahma here, he also says this very famous prayer, Aho Bhagyam, Nanda Gopa Vrajokusa. So in this prayer and that prayer, he's describing the glories of the Vrajavasis. Because first Brahma gives so many prayers to try to please Sri Krishna, describing him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, describing him as the creator of himself, etc., etc. But Sri Krishna is not so impressed with such prayers. Our acharyas describe that only and until Sri Brahma glorifies the Vrajavasis and desires to become a particle of dust in Vrindavan, such that, or a stone in Vrindavan, such that all the residents of Vraj walk on him and bathe his head with the dust of their lotus feet. So only and until he sings the glories of the Vrajavasis, and he describes that they are far, far more superior than those who chant these various Vedic mantras, because they are directly associating with Sri Krishna himself. They are loving Sri Krishna, and he is exchanging rasa with all of them. So Lord Brahma is describing these unique prayers to Sri Krishna, is glorifying Sri Krishna, glorifying the Vrajavasis, and Srila Gurudev is glorifying Sri Brahma, that this is a very, very wonderful, unique prayer that Sri Brahma describes. Then Srila Gurudev concludes that, and he quotes this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Eka leelai karen Prabhu, karya pancha sata. That Eka leelai karen Prabhu, that Prabhu in one pastime, karya pancha sat, he does accomplish so many things. 5 or 7 things is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in this pastime of Brahma Vimohan Leela, Sri Krishna accomplishes so many things. He satisfies the senses of all the Vrajavasis. He satisfies Sri Brahma's desire, and he satisfies his own desire. And so therefore he fulfills all of the desires. And then he tells Brahma, and he proves to Brahma, because everything is transcendental in Vrindavan, that even the sticks that the cowherd boys are carrying, they are worthy of your worship. So do not be confused. Do not be shocked by my pastimes. Actually, everyone in Vraj is worthy of the highest worship. So in this way, he fulfills so many different activities and so many different wishes within this one pastime. So let's conclude here by reading Srila Gurudev's final comment in regards to this.
Krishna, do you want me to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Krishna externally performed this pastime to satisfy the desire of Lord Brahma, and internally to fulfill the desires of the young gopis, the mothers, and the cows. This is very mysterious. What can you pay me for this? Only Dandavat Pranam.
So here Gurudev is making a joke because one devotee is asking him in this morning walk about this pastime. And actually, when we come in the association of the acharyas, when we come in the association and take the guidance from Srila Gurudev, then only these rasic moods are established when we hear from them. Otherwise, how will we know simply reading the translations of the Bhagavatam? Our concept of this pastime will be completely different. So, Srila Gurudev, how can we repay him? Because Gurudev is giving us all those moods that are deep within each and every pastime. And the truth is simply all we can offer him is our Dandavat Pranam, because there's no way we can repay for what he has given us. So this is the pastime of Sri Brahma Vimohan Leela, which occurs in Vatsavan, or also known as Bachadavan. Bachada means a calf, so the forest where the calves play. Now, the final place that we're visiting today is the temple of Sri Garud Govinda, and we'll be very short on this, partly because not much is being told by Gurudev here. So if Srila Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj or Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaikhanas Maharaj would like to comment on this further, please go ahead and do so, because in my research I couldn't find much about Sri Garud Govinda. But here is described that one day Shri Krishna was trying to tell his cowherd friends, his gopas, that he is the supreme Lord and that they should worship him. And of course, in Vrindavan, anytime Krishna attempts to show his opulence or his bhagavata, that this is immediately covered by the madhurya ras, the sweetness of Shri Krishna and his moods of his friends. So they begin laughing at him and they say, "Oh, sure you are. Sure you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So are we. Why don't you show us? If you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then where is your Garud? Where is your bird carrier?" And at once, Sridham, taking the mood of Garud, he becomes Garud and he takes Krishna on his shoulders and he begins flying in the sky. And all the gopas are looking at this pastime and they're saying, "Whoa, what is Sridham doing? What is Krishna doing? How did this happen?" And then Gurudev describes when the pastime concludes, Krishna is thinking, "Yes, I've shown you that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead." But then the gopas laugh and they say, "Hey, Krishna, what kind of magic trick did you just do? Hey, Krishna, how'd you learn how to do that?" And in this way, they completely are covered by their mood of Sakhya ras. They're completely enamored by Krishna being their dear friend. And they never think that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this way, Sridham becomes Garud at this place in the Garud Govinda temple. And then I would like to conclude by quoting the verse from Sri Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which describes the glories of the sakhas of Krishna. So the verse goes like this. Ballanu jagasadriga varaguna villasavesha shriya priyankarana vallaki dalavisha navenva ankitaha mahendra manihataka spihatika Padmaraga Tvisha Sada pranayashalinah sachar Hare Pantuva. So, Prabhu, can you please read this final translation?
The cowherd friends of Krishna are the same age as Krishna, with similar qualities, activities, clothing, and beauty. They are equipped with pleasing flutes, horns, and valaki leaves, and have complexions of dark blue, gold, crystal, and ruby. Always filled with love of Krishna, may they protect you.
So, in this way, Srila Rupa Goswami is describing the beautiful sakhas of Shri Krishna. And at the end of this verse, it says, Pantuva, may they protect you. And we may wonder, well, how will the sakhas protect us? So this Pantuva is written many times by Srila Rupa Goswami or compiled in many verses in Padyavali. That how can they protect us? How can the sakhas of Krishna protect us? That if somehow, when we meditate on these pastimes while performing our smaran or kirtan, if we close our eyes and meditate on these pastimes, and somehow our death comes at that moment, at the moment of death, if we remember these various pastimes of Sri Krishna and we close our eyes, then our acharyas tell us that the next moment when we open them, we will be in that pastime itself. So in these way, the sakhas, these various pastimes can protect us because as we meditate on them, then we have the chance that we too will also one day be a part of them. So with that, let's conclude here. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhuvyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. If any mistake has been made, please forgive me. So many vidvans are here, so many scholars are here. Please correct me. I'm sure I made so many mistakes. If anything good has happened, then of course it's because I'm repeating Srila Gurudev's and the Acharya's words. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Jai Sachin. So beautiful. I'm mesmerized. Completely mesmerized. I'm going to archive it forever. Totally I love this pastime so much. So many times I've gone over this pastime with great relish, and you've presented it in an even fresher way. You should have actually had 2 hours to describe it. You didn't have enough time. But what you did have time, it was just absolutely beautiful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Maharaj, actually, my
is also.
sincere thanks to you, Maharaj, because this Kartik Vrat, unfortunately, I was not able to go to Parikrama. But this online Parikrama that you all are doing is so wonderful because oftentimes, I'll be very honest, when I'm in the Parikrama, because there's so many things happening and it's so crazy. And honestly, I'm so physically tired. And this katha is so nourishing because it's repeating the words of those very beautiful moods described by Srila Gurudev. So actually, you and all the great Vaishnavas here, they are my inspiration and forced me to study. So I have nothing. All of this is Gurudev's. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much for your kind
I hope you
words.
do another one, Sachin. I hope you're going to come on again.
Thank
You
you.
should. Wonderful presentation. Totally wonderful. Blissful. I'm deeply grateful.
I don't know if I can add very much to that, but thank you for such a wonderful and beautiful presentation. Was really well prepared. And thanks for putting me on the spot as well. Um, I'm quite tired from going to the temple yesterday, and it kept me alert. It kept me alert, you know. After like the third speaker, it was possible I wasn't going to stay alert. So thank you so much, Prabhu.
Well, thank you
Um,
so much, Prabhu, for doing that. And I know it's not easy. You're having to remain alert, and I'm sorry for that, but I appreciate that you're helping me in
oh, it
this.
was such a beautiful presentation, but I can't glorify it in the same way as Tridandi Maharaj. So thank you so much. Before we end, we're very fortunate to have Kirtan from Nityananda Prabhu, who will be singing, I believe, the Yamuna Ashtakam, but that might have changed. He'll let me know. But before that, I just want to remind everyone we have a 3-day festival coming up. Tomorrow, our session is starting an hour earlier than usual, and we'll be hearing about Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj and Srila Trivikram Goswami Maharaj. On Saturday, our session starting at the normal time, but it's going to be, I believe, around 4 hours long, because we're hearing, we have a big festival planned for Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's disappearance. And then on Sunday, we are hearing about the appearance of, or rather, we're hearing about Srila Bhakti Swarup's Tridandi Maharaj on his appearance day. And just a reminder, on that day in the UK, the clocks go back the night before, so that will also be an hour earlier according to the time in the UK, but 24 hours late. You get what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I will hand over without further ado to Sriman Nityananda Prabhu to sing Kirtan.
Jai Haribol, Dandavat Pranams to everybody. Such beautiful pastimes. It's amazing how these speakers have the capacity to bring us all the way to Braj, even though we're not there physically. Anyhow, Yamunastaka, and this book is page 306. So if anybody wants to follow with, you can find it there. And yes, because also today, Yama Dvitiya, the appearance of Yamaraj and Yamuna, if I'm not mistaken. Ready? Okay. Branturasya patane vipatiharini prekshayati papinopi papa sindutarini niramadori virapya sheshachita bandini Mampunatu Saravadhara Vindabandhu Nandini Hari Bhari Dharaya Bibanditoru Kandava Pondarika Mandalodhyat Andajali Dandava Sanakama Pamaroga Papa Sampad Andini Mampunatu Saravadara Brindabandhu Nandini Sikara Bimrishta Jantu Durvipaka Mardini Mamdamandav Bhakti Pura Mardini Tira Sangama Vilashyas Mangalano Bamdini Mampunatu Saravadara Vrindabandhu Namdini Vipachakravala Jushta Sapta Sindhu Bedini Shri Mukunda Nirmitoru Divya Keli Vedini Kanti Kandali Vidindra Nila Brinda Nindini Mampunatu Saravadhara Vindabandhu Namdini Maturena Mamdalena Charuna Bimamdita Premanadha Vaishnavadvardhanaya Pamdita Urmidhor Vilasa Padamanaba Padabandini Mampunatu Sarvadara Vrindabandhu Namdini Ramyatira Rambamana Gokadamba Bhushita Divya Gandha Bhak Kadamba Pushparaji Roshita Nanda Suro Bhakta Sangha Sangama Vinandini Mampuratu Sarvadara Vindavandunamdini Phula Paksha Malikaksha Hamsalaksha Kujita Bhakti Vidadveva Sida Kinarali Pujita Tira Gandha Bhaganda Janama Banda Randini Mampuna tu sarvadhara bindarvadu nandini Chit vilasa paripura burbuva sar arpini Kirtita pidur madhur papa marmata pini Bhala Vedra Nandana Garagabanga Gamdini Mampunatu Sarvadhara Vindavanu Nandini Tushta Bodhirashta Kena Nirmalormi Chestita Twamanena Bhanuputri Sarvadeva Veshtita Yastaviti Vardasasya Sarva Papa Mochane Bhakti Puryam Asya Devi Umdari Kalochane Mampunatu Sarvadara Vindavanu Nandini Mampunatu Sarvadara Vindavanu Nandini Mampunatu Sarvadara Vindavanu Nandini Mampunatu Sarvadhara Vindavanu Nandini Jaya Jamune Jaya Jaya Jamune Jaya Jamune Jaya Jaya Jamune Jayo Vishaka Devi, Jayo Vishaka Devi, Vishaka Devi, Jayo Vishaka Devi, Jayo Vishaka Devi, Jayo Vishaka Devi,
Vishaka Devi, Jaya Vishaka Devi,
Jaya Giri Raja, Jaya Govardhana, Govardhana, Jaya Vrindavana, Jaya Giri Jaya Govardhana Jaya Govardhana
Jaya Vrindavana,
Jaya Radha Kunda Jaya Shyam Kunda Jaya Radha Kunda Jaya Shyam Kunda Jaya Radha Kunda Jaya Shyam Kunda Jaya Radha Kunda
Jaya Shama Kunda,
Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya
Gurudeva Jaya, Gurudeva Jaya, Gurudeva Jaya, Gurudeva
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada
Jaya Rupanuga Guru Parampara Rupanuga Guru Parampara Jaya Rupanuga Jaya Guru
Parampara Jaya,
Rupanuga Guru Parampara Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Shri Radha Radha 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 Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Shyam.
Jai, thank you so much for stepping in. Vancha kalpa turubhyascha kripa sindhuvaeva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Om Rindaya Tulasi Devi Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prada Devi Satya Vatya Namo Namaha. Haribol Dandavat.